Do you believe in manifestation?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is a perfect example of it. And, in my own life, being here now with you and even being in California is a manifestation.
Is it weird? Think about our first episode.
Well, I was just thinking our professional lives are very separate. So I know you do this, but to be here is very...
Tell me first impressions of this space.
It's just legit. You're really doing it. It's really cool.
I know. Oh, can we see what we look like? I mean, even though it's rolling, I want to make sure you like the... I can definitely... Yeah, let's see. I want you to see how the setup is.
Oh, wow.
Looks good, right? Look, I got my new pillows.
So
you like
cool.
It? Dream your life.
All across the board, start whenever you're ready.
Everything's good. No, I like this. We're good. Okay. Let's take a moment, Alex, and let's just close your eyes and take a deep breath. And I want us to just first get really present in this moment. I want us to remember this moment. And just like we do with our kids, I want you to really feel all the sensations. What you're smelling, what you're feeling on your skin, just any sensations in your body. And now open your eyes and look around. And now let's just make a little moment and remember this moment. And now I want to just start before we get into gratitude or anything. The first episode I did with you was almost 3 years ago. Do you remember that episode?
The one where we're in the bedroom, or the...
Before that. It was a Zoom call. You were the 10th episode of this podcast. Remember?
Oh, yes, I do. I was in my office. Yes, I do.
Office?
Yeah. The one I always think about is the one in the bedroom.
Yeah. Do you remember at all, what you thought about this podcast or where it was going to go or anything? Did you ever think we'd be in this moment together?
Definitely not. But I've been thinking a lot about that these past couple of days because I knew we would talk about it. And I feel like you've been preparing for this your whole life as a child and, playing with the camera, being on camera, and you're still just playing. You're having fun. And you were having fun then and you're having fun now. And this is just a culmination of still having fun with it, which is so cool that you've created a career out of fun. Things that you're curious about, things that you want to learn about. So it's really, really cool.
I haven't thought about it like that, but it's true. It's
look what you're doing today.
This is my dream.
This is definitely your dream. When people come over and take photos, or
I know
you do the workshops, those are
having conversations like this, and then having that be part of my livelihood has just been, it's wild. But it feels like a full circle moment for me right now because I remember so vividly interviewing you for that 10th episode, and for me, or maybe it was, I think I published it the 11th or something. It was right around 9, 10, 11. That was my goal, was to get to that number, to get to record 10 episodes. Because I'm I don't know where it's going to lead. But if I can get to 10, then I'll evaluate if I want to give up or if I think there's something here. And I remember interviewing you, and that episode, a lot of people listened to it. Remember, for a while, it was my most listened to episode.
Yeah, I know.
And I remember being I want to keep going. I don't know exactly where this is going to go. But the podcast has completely changed my life, our lives, our kids' lives in a lot of ways. It was the best decision I ever made. And there were a lot of questions about how you and I have navigated these last couple of years of this business and the podcast leading to all the things. But before we get into anything, because there's also a lot of other questions and there's a lot here, and we only have about 45 minutes. So I want to start with gratitude. You and I practice gratitude a lot. But right now, Alex, what are 3 things that are coming to your mind, 3 things that you are grateful for today?
Oh, wow. I love this question. Well, I just went downstairs to explore the area a little bit. And when I was walking back up, I felt the sun, like the warmth of the sun on my skin in this beautiful space. And in that moment, I was really grateful for that. It's been a little bit cooler today and the past couple days, so I'm really grateful for that. So the weather here, it's truly special. Number two, I'm really grateful that I can be here right now.
Yeah.
That I have a career where I can step out for a little bit and do this with you and have a life where we have the support at home that we, don't need to worry about WIT right now, that we've created a life where stepping out to do something like this is not a stressful thing. It's just something that we could easily do.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm here because of you. So I'm lastly, but most importantly, I'm grateful for you and our partnership. And when we were out to dinner last night, we were telling the waitress that we've been together for 14 years, which seems crazy, but I've been on this journey from the Midwest for the past 15 years, and the reason I'm still here is because of you. So I'm very grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you too. And in fact, before we get into anything, gratitude is a big part of, I think, what makes our relationship so strong. There are a lot of questions. We're going to get into some of the specifics, but I would say like a foundational piece of our whole family and my energy, your energy, the dynamic of our relationship, the appreciation we feel, the fact that we're both really in a good place personally and together is because we're really grateful.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, I think it's number one. I mean,
all day long, we share things we're grateful about. Really, like truly, I would say from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed, we either together or separately will be like, I saw this, I was so grateful. This happened, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
At dinner, we talk about what we're grateful, and I want you to share the little thing that we started. We kind of trailed off.
Well, you trailed off. I've been doing it. I don't get any responses lately.
Yeah, okay. You missed a few times.
But you're referring to the three things that we're grateful for each other every morning, whether we say it to each other or say it over text message, email, and
it's usually over text message. And I will admit, you are 100% of the time the one who initiates.
I did one yesterday and it's still left unresponded.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I meant to heart it.
Yeah.
And respond.
Yeah. But that's a perfect example of it's not only for the person that you're showing gratitude toward, it's actually, I feel good about it too because I'm giving you that gratitude and appreciating things that I love about you. So it's not just for the other person. So give some
examples of what we share, because sometimes they're really random and silly, and sometimes they're deep and profound. But we text, and it's usually over text in the morning after school drop-offs or camp drop-offs or whatever, and we're both like doing our own thing. I will get a message that has 1, 2, 3, and it's 3 little things that Alex is grateful for, like specifically about me in that day. So can you share?
Yeah, I mean, like yesterday was, thank you for feeding Bruno.
I'm grateful for
I'm grateful. Well, I just list them out. Yeah. But feeding Bruno. 2, getting the boys dressed for school.
Yeah.
And 3, I think it was being supportive. So more of a general thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what that does for anyone listening, like this really is such a wonderful practice, because first of all, when you receive that gratitude, it's like, and we've talked about this in the last podcast episode we did, the importance of sharing gratitude and appreciation for the little things, because it makes you want to do them more. It makes you feel good about doing them, because getting the boys dressed, I would do that every morning, obviously. To be appreciated for it, to be acknowledged for it, it's also just a huge sign of the respect that you have for me and for my time and for doing those things. And it feels so good. It's like an instant little vibe raiser. And it also makes me just feel more connected to you, feel more in love with you, appreciate you more for recognizing those things. And then when you're actually doling out the gratitude, there's a couple things that I think happen too, but one of them is I'm always looking like really aware of the things to be grateful for that you do, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to write them down later.
Yeah.
But you do so many things, but I recognize them, I see them, and I feel grateful in that moment. And that is such a powerful energy. And the reason why I bring this up is because I do really think that that's a big cornerstone part of our relationship, is the fact that we are both so grateful for each other, grateful for our lives. And because of that, like, good things continue to happen. And of course, we have our challenges and stuff, but it's such a wonderful tool to feel good.
I think the timing of it is really important too, because we often do it after school drop off, after we've separated, and oftentimes those situations can be stressful. One child is screaming, one child is happy, one child is upset about something, and maybe there's some tension between us too because of those things that are happening. So then when I go to work and you're at home and you get that message, then it just kind of resets or level sets that that level of gratitude for one another, and puts you in a good space for the rest of the day.
Totally. And we've also we're not as consistent with this. We usually try to do gratitude at dinner every night with the kids. Either like, what are you grateful for? What's the best thing that happened? Something that is positive, that makes you think about, reflect on the wonderful things in your life. But for a while, and sometimes we do, what are you grateful for about the other kids? And it's so cute when they'll be like, Riley, Bowen, our middle son, will be like, Riley, I'm grateful that you checked up on me when, I was on the play yard. Or Whit, I'm grateful that you were so silly and you cheered me up. And it's this really sweet moment. And I feel like even if we're not so consistent of doing it all the time, those are the things that really bond us together and make us appreciate our family and value our family. Okay, so we're going to move on a little bit, and I want to I'm going to pull out my phone later because this week I've put a few Instagram stories up telling people that you are coming back on the podcast for the third time, but it's been well over a year now, and so much has happened in this last year, and I feel like we've both grown so much individually. So many things have happened. We've gone through a lot of really difficult, challenging things together and separately. But so I asked, like, what questions do you have for us? And I got so many. So I have them all on my phone because I don't want to forget, and I'll shout out the person who asked. But there was a big theme around our roles and how specifically our roles have shifted since my business has really taken off. Because I've shared a lot. I have 2 businesses now, and both of them have gotten to a place where they're really successful, but also very demanding of my time and energy. I travel a lot. And I think people can see just through little, like, behind the scenes snippets, like, you have stepped up and started taking on a lot of the roles that maybe I used to do, or maybe are more traditional for the mother, right? Like the lunches and the taking the kids to school, dropping off, like filling out forms, like those types of things. Before we get into the nuances and details, I would love for you to share from your perspective what these last 3 years have been like for you. So January 2022, I left Twitter, and it was in November that you and I sat down on the couch, and I said, I have this huge decision to make. I'm either going to take this really high paying, high level corporate job at this company that's acquiring my team, and I'm going to be set up, and it's going to be doing all the things that I normally do, but just a lot bigger scope. Or I'm going to take this podcast and this little tiny coaching business where I have 5 clients and see what I can do with it. So let's go back to that moment, and then let's talk through what these last, I guess it's about 3 years since I've started the business.
Okay, before I get into that, I know this is your podcast and you run the show, but I need to say it because it's been running through my body since we sat down here, and I'd be so upset at myself if I didn't say it.
Yeah.
So sitting here, and then I'm going to answer your question and go through all that. But with this blue light behind you, with the microphone in front of you, you're literally like glowing.
Oh.
And I see this person all the time because I creepily, have an Instagram account that only follows you. So I see all this stuff, and I see this person that other people see, but to be in your presence in here like this, it just makes me so proud. And there's like a aura around you that's just bigger than life, and it just makes me so proud. And it's fun to be here with you because I get to see you at home, which a lot of this stuff happens at home too, but seeing Julia, the business in real life, I know why people, love you so much. So it's really special being here with you.
I love you.
So to answer your question, I'm not going to say I was a doubter, but I gave you the advice, like, let's maybe, stick with, a tech job, which you were doing, and do this on the side and build it up. And I was very supportive of the business and the business growing, but I wasn't definitely supportive of you just jumping into the deep end and leaving that behind. One, because I love my lifestyle and I love what that we had built together, and I was worried that may not continue. But of course, I was still, very supportive and wanted you to do it.
It just felt risky.
It just felt very risky. Yeah. I'm not a huge risk taker.
Yeah.
I mean, I would personally, I couldn't do that, and watching you do that, it just made me a little nervous. But at that same time, I wanted to do whatever I could to support you, not only emotionally but also support our family. So doing those extra things, taking on extra work.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is I had this decision to make. I go to this new company that was acquiring my team, which I've talked about this, but I totally manifested this because I'm like, I had this side coaching business. I had the podcast. I wanted to make it like my thing, my whole livelihood. And I had this vision, but I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to save up enough money to go and actually do this because I have this job where I feel pigeonholed, but I'm making really good money. And long story short, my team gets acquired and I have the option to go to the acquirer or take severance. And the severance was literally the exact dollar amount that I was manifesting to have in my savings. So then we have a decision, do we take the severance and go for it? Or, do I just keep doing this as a side hustle? And you were supportive, but you did say probably makes more sense to just keep doing it as a side hustle until you can really prove it. And everything in my body was like, no, I don't want to. It's actually not even worth making $1 million a year at this point. I don't even care what the salary is at this new company. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Because I was so convinced that this was the direction. Everything was pulling me towards this. And I didn't know exactly how I was going to make it happen, but I'm like, I'm going to make it work. And the first few months, really the first year, I was not up to my salary and the severance ran out. And of course we could make it work, but we wanted to uphold our lifestyle and not have to sacrifice all the kids' activities and, going out to dinner and the things that we loved and giving back. And so you took on not just one, but two little side hustles. And you could just briefly describe what they are. We do not need to go into the details.
Yeah, so it is basically a consulting business where I was helping out other laboratories with their operations.
Yeah, but you have to be there physically at the hospital. So let's talk about your hours. You were going.
So I was thinking about it this morning because when I was trying to figure out when the roles changed and how we changed the roles, but when I made that decision to do that, I remember writing down in my phone in the notes app, word for word, do whatever you need to do to take care of your family. And that became my purpose and my role.
Yeah.
And it equated to sometimes 40 hours extra a week away from
Was it
home.
extra?
So I would be gone
yeah.
at least
Yeah.
2 to 3 nights a week,
Yeah.
and then all day Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was usually between 25 to 40 hours a week, depending on the week.
And I do want to emphasize though that like this was so helpful. But again, like this was also because of the lifestyle that we
Yeah.
wanted to maintain. We could have made it work. Like we
Yeah,
could have
of
made it
course.
work. But there's like, you know, we were used to doing life a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, which we're going to circle back on, but living in the Palisades, which is like, you know, the lifestyles around us, like keeping up with that. And so you did all of that to maintain
Yeah.
that, so we didn't feel any different while I was building up the business.
Yeah. But so that, I mean, back to the roles thing. So that really
Yeah.
felt like that was my role for a 2-year period. And then this past fall into the winter, you kept saying you can stop doing this now. The business is doing really well. You know, maybe cut back, or you can actually,
I'm like, stop. Why are we still doing this?
at the turn of the year, you said you can stop completely. And that threw me all out of whack because my role was changing and I didn't know kind of where I was going to put all that time. That's a lot of time. And probably December, January, February, which doesn't, make a lot of sense from the outside, but your business was crushing it, doing so well. But that was probably emotionally and kind of mentally, that was my hardest period of this whole thing because I didn't know how I was going to fit into, helping the family moving forward. Because that I felt comfortable in that role.
Yeah, I think it was less about the time.
Yeah.
And it was more about the purpose. And I do, because there were also questions about what are some of your challenges and what do you fight about? And it wasn't like we were fighting, but it just, to me, and of course, like everything feels different now because we've had a lot of talks about this. But in the beginning, I think it was even hard for you to articulate or even like for you to understand why you were feeling so off and feeling so just like upset about it kind of, because I'd be like, this is, I've tripled my income from my corporate job.
Yeah.
Like we have more in savings and more in these accounts than we've ever had in our whole life. And you'd be like, okay, that's great. And I'd be like, why aren't we celebrating more?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, no. And we'd go and we'd like, do the champagne. But it always felt like you were kind of like, not upset, but just there was something in your energy that was just like, it felt like you were disappointed in yourself. And I was always like, it was not about me. I knew it wasn't about you not being happy for me or for us or for like, obviously, like what, these, the financial opportunities could bring us and new things that we could experience and, so many things. But it just felt like for a couple months there, at least, if not more, you were just really lost.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to kind of speak a little more to that and how you were able to get out of it and how in that period your role started to shift and then you started to find more purpose again.
Yeah, I think probably partly the way I was raised. And since I, got out of college and went straight to grad school and went to grad school multiple times and then went straight into working, I just always felt like that was my purpose and that's kind of the road I had to stick on and that's where I felt the most comfortable. And deciding to take that away was a big change. And it wasn't necessarily what was changing, it was just the change. And so I'm very regimented in everything I do day to day. And so doing that for the past 2-3 years was comfortable to me. And it didn't matter to me that it was an extra 30 hours a week. Like I could do that easy. Like tell me to sleep less, that's fine. I'll do that. But to then change what I was doing, was a really hard thing for me. So it was, again, like you said, it was never about you. It was never about the business. I was super supportive and happy for that. It was more just trying to think about how my role would change.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it was. It was like maybe March kicked in and it was gone. And I think it took me some time to get used to always being home for dinner, always being home for bedtime, always being home for all those things. And now, I mean, we talk about this all the time, like thinking about getting up on a Saturday and going to 2 different jobs. It sounds insane. And it would be, again, just the
And
change
missing
back to
all
that.
the stuff with the kids.
Yeah, I just,
like, what if the other thing is like, you went on an early bike ride the other morning, and you saw the kids when they got home from school at like 4:30, and they were like, "I missed you so much. Oh my God, where have you been?"
Yeah.
And you were like, "Do they remember when I was just used to be gone for like 3
Yeah.
days and I wouldn't see them because I was back to back?" And now
Yeah.
the amount of time you spend with our kids together and individually, I think that is a lot where you have placed that energy and that purpose
Yeah,
in
for
my
sure.
eyes. I mean, you coach all of them
Mm-hmm.
in soccer. You every single morning, I don't think there's been one morning that you've missed of taking to camp or driving or taking to school on the bike. That is,
Yeah. It's my favorite part of the day.
you make all of the lunches. I haven't made a lunch in 2 years, even though sometimes Riley asks me, "Please, will you make the lunch?" Only because because I never make the lunch, then
Yeah.
I like go way overboard and do all this stuff. And you're just so present in every area of their lives. And I think a perfect example of just like this week. So I'm going to Hawaii on Sunday. I'm going to be there for a full week. And I told you on Monday, our nanny called in sick or couldn't come in, and I had to like move some meetings, and you were like, "I'll be home at 4:30," and you just go for the rest of the evening, go work wherever you need to work. I did that Monday. Tuesday, I was like, I have more work to do in preparation. I have some other like projects I'm working on. And you're like, just go the whole evening. I don't like missing evenings with the family, but that happens all the time where you're just like, totally give me the time and space to work on the business, which is such a gift. And then things like we were even talking about last night, I'm going to be gone a full week. And I was like, I'm a little overwhelmed because, all of Riley's friends' parents were asking about what play dates. And then she's got 2 dance classes. And you were like, just stop. I've got everything under control. If someone texts you, add me to the thread. And don't think anything else of it. Don't think anything of the schedule. Don't worry about pickups. Don't worry about locations. Go to Hawaii and be there. And I've got everything. And it's just like, it's so wonderful. I feel like it just feels like such a partnership work. Because I know that it might switch one day again.
Yeah.
But to know that like I'm supported and the family is supported, I feel so much balance right now with that.
Yeah, we were definitely way out of balance when I was doing all that other stuff too.
Yeah. It
Which
was just
impacted our relationship and my relationship with the kids and everything. It was truly out of balance.
Yeah. But going back to the purpose thing and to this shift in roles, I was like, how do I segue this in? But I actually think it's very well, it's tangentially related, but right around that time,
I'm so nervous.
I was like to you, I'm like, I'm going to gift you with something because I felt like you were lost. And I'm like, I know the solution.
Oh yeah, it was right around my birthday.
You need to speak with your spirit guide.
Yeah.
And you knew, I mean, at this point, had you ever listened to an episode that I've done with?
Yeah, with Jessica.
Yeah. So you knew all about Jessica Rachel because
Yeah.
this is spiritual medium Jessica Rachel who calls in, your spirit guides. And I have built a very strong relationship with her. I've had many readings with my own spirit guides that are so accurate. But then I've had her come into my group programs. And every single woman who has worked with her or done a reading says the same thing. Life-changing, mind-blowing. I didn't believe this is true. What came through was so accurate and so resonant, but also really actionable. So I'm like, I just want you to give this a try because I don't know, something might come through that could help you get kind of unstuck in this.
Yeah.
And so I gift this for your birthday. And yeah, this was right around this was in the thick of you feeling kind of lost about like role and direction and purpose. And also, I mean, you've talked about this, but seeing your wife who is like clearly, I'm like, finally found my purpose. I'm so lit up by what I do. I'm so mission driven that I'm sure you were feeling like the contrast of that. So you do this session and it's supposed to be a private session. I had my ear to the door almost the whole time.
I know.
So I heard a lot of it, but I know it's been a while. It's been a few months now. I did get a lot of questions on Instagram about, can Alex please share his experience with meeting his spirit guide and doing the session with Jessica? So this is a two-parter.
Okay.
One, I want to hear about your experience with this and just takeaways. And two, about, and maybe this will lead into it, just like where you draw the line with all my woo.
Okay. Number one, I think, like you said, you talking about your purpose and you finally found your purpose in your career, it made me think like, I don't necessarily feel that about my career. I don't feel that about any possible career that I could change to. And it made me feel a little bit uneasy thinking, gosh, do I need to have a purpose? What is my purpose? Because I felt like I have plenty of purpose in the world, but I don't necessarily relate that to career or needing that in my career.
Yeah.
So meeting with her, it was actually very, it made me feel much better about that feeling because she told me I'm a starseed. So shout out to all my starseeds out there. It's probably the best one.
What does that mean? How do you interpret it?
You just got a lot of energy in your fire.
But that means you came from a different planet.
Oh yeah, I'm an alien too, which is sweet. But
no, you spent a lot of time in different planets. Like you're like Earth is kind of new for you.
That's right. That's right. I don't necessarily feel comfortable on Earth, is what she was telling me. And honestly,
because you're vibrating at such a high level.
Yeah. And I left thinking, gosh, it made me feel really good because I feel like most of my life I've been in situations where I really like it and I enjoy it, but it's not like it's my mission or my purpose. And sometimes I feel like an outsider almost. And since I was thinking about this morning because I knew you were going to ask about the starseed and everything, but ever since I was a child, I've just had a lot of energy. Like always played 2 sports in every season, so always had 2 practices a day, and continue to do that, to this day. So I just have a lot of energy, and I don't often know where it goes, and sometimes it stands out and may not kind of be on the same vibration level as other people.
Yeah, I'll just give an example. I mean, you're also a triathlete.
Yeah, that's
You've done multiple Ironman. The last Ironman you didn't even realize it. You knew you had a hurt foot. You had a broken foot.
Yeah.
And you still crushed it. And what did you place in this Ironman?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do.
I don't.
Yes, you do. Come on.
I think 5th.
5th place.
In my age group. That's how they do it
in
by
the
age
group.
They do it by age
with
groups.
A broken foot. Okay? So you are an animal you are a starseed.
But no, and then it made me think back to like graduate school and my career, and it just made me feel better about maybe not having, my purpose being my career, having the ability to have multiple purposes.
Because what did she say? I remember exactly what she said because my ear was to the door.
You remember better than I do.
She said, because you were asking about purpose, and your spirit guide said,
"Oh yeah,
just
be high vibe around in every situation."
They said,
just be a starseed.
You don't have a specific purpose career-wise. Your purpose is in the energy that you hold for the people around you. So they did say, being in a hospital or any kind of place where there's a lot of people that could use help, or being a coach or things like that, that is a really good place for you. But it actually doesn't matter. You could be on a farm, you could be on this. Your purpose, the mission of your soul was to come here to vibrate at a level where everyone around you feels it. And that I have goosebumps again. Listening to that, I'm like, oh, that's it. I mean, oh my God, everyone around you, Alex, feels good. You vibrate at such a high level, it's impossible to not feel good in your presence. And I know I've talked to people on your teams, and this is since I've known you, like going to work events and stuff where people are just like, your husband is something. He listens, he hears me, I feel better when I'm around him, what he contributes. And it's never necessarily about, I mean, you're so good at what you do, but it's always about who you are and how you make people feel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's nice to say.
Yeah.
The other thing she did say in our meeting that made
He did say, because your spirit guide was a little man that came in on his
that's
bicycle.
right, the wizard. Yeah, the wizard. But the wizard, it was actually during it because everything was going so well with your business, and then I was having these extra 30 to 40 hours a week to think about what I wanted to do moving forward, and there was this other position that I was looking at, maybe going after, and the spirit guide said, yeah, you could do it, but you're going to feel this same way you're feeling now in maybe a year or two. And that was very reassuring to me that it's maybe like thinking about my purpose in a different way. So
Yeah.
it was, I found it very helpful.
One other thing that I thought or there were two other things that came through this reading, and I want you to just.
You mean through the door that you were listening?
Through the door that I was listening in. But I'm so glad I did, because you came out and you were like, that was awesome. And you didn't want to share more. I'm like, well, thank God I listened to everything, because I wanted to debrief on every point. There was nothing that came through that wasn't accurate. And you.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing, can I say the weird thing?
Yeah.
So it was late January and I had not been running from like all of November, all of December. And the day before the meeting, we had the meeting on a Saturday, I had done a track workout, which track workout you're just running fast, and I hadn't run for many months. And I was really sore. And one of the first things she said on the call was
the spirit guide said
was, I'm feeling soreness in your body, that's wild. Like how would the spirit guide ever? I mean, because there's I know, but I'm just that got my attention.
Yeah, and the other weird thing, like, picked up on things with your family that I think were really accurate and also healing in a lot of ways. But then I thought the other part where it was about what was it? Your purpose, your oh, okay. So another thing that I was listening and I was like, your spirit guide said, I could see you going into, or you'd find a lot of purpose going into business with your wife.
Oh, yeah.
And doing something with your wife. And you were like, I don't know, helping with the company's finances, or like, and they're like, no. You would be coaching too. And you could be doing like husband-wife coaching, or you could be coaching on your own. And I was listening in the door and I'm like, he's going to be like, no, not for me. Like the first time you've been inaccurate, that's not right. And then later that evening we went out to dinner and I'm like, oh, and how about the part where they said that you would want to, like you're not interested in that. And you're like, I'm incredibly interested in that. I haven't thought about it, but I coach all of the people that report to me.
Yeah.
I coach so many people, I coach teams, I coach, kids. That is something that gives me so much purpose in me. And I was just like, so that started on you doing a little bit of side coaching. I kind of directed some of my clients' spouses to you. And,
it was just a different way to think about coaching, because if someone were to ask me what I find most valuable about my career and my job, and number one would be coaching, mentoring in, a professional space, but, a lot of that has to do with their personal space too. So,
So,
what was part two of your question for Jessica Rachel? What was, we we went long on part one.
Yeah. So, well, this next part is about your beliefs.
Oh,
in all
about
this.
your woo.
So, this question came up quite a bit because I have gone from manifesting to spirit guides, astrocartography. You came home the other day and there were crystals all around the house and a blueprint of our house with like weird things written on it. And you're just like, and there's stuff every day. I'm like, I talked to a psychic today. You're like, you talked to a psychic yesterday. And then I'm like, oh my God, I had a tarot reading this morning. And you're just like, you had a tarot reading 3 days ago. Like, what is going on with my wife? So one is I would love to hear your beliefs around all of the spiritual modalities and the spirit guide thing. And then your thoughts on my recent foray into all these things.
I'll go the second part first because I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I know we joke about it and I give you a hard time sometimes, but there's not one piece of me that, judges it or, thinks you're out there. Yes, you are way more woo than me, but that's your journey and you're a seeker. What kind of person are you again?
What do you mean?
You're
Curious seeker?
No, but what your spirit guide? Aren't you a seeker? Something?
My spirit guide.
Like I'm a starseed. What are you?
I think I'm just an earthling.
Oh, you're an earthling. Yeah.
I don't know. No. Like I don't know. I'm not a starseed, I don't think. Oh, me, I don't know. I think I bounced
No, but
around.
seeker. I'm saying like you're looking for answers.
Yes,
and so
for sure.
I don't judge that at all, and it's not what I'm into, and it's not something I use for that, version of spirituality for myself. But I don't judge it because you're on your own journey and you're looking for those answers, and I do my own crazy stuff that you would never do and you think is crazy. Like when I say I'm going out for a run and I'm in the mountains for 2 hours.
Or when you're like, I'm going to go on a bike ride and then you're in Santa Barbara. I'm like, what?
But that sounds insane to you, but you don't judge it. You just know that's where I find my connection with the earth and my connection with myself.
But do you believe? So, because I called you the other day and I told you about this like whole like energetic thing that I did with our house.
Yeah.
And I told you and you're listening, and I'm like, so what do you think? And you're like, well, I don't believe anything, but I love that you did that.
And I'll say that
to what do you think about the spirit guide stuff? Like truly.
Again, like even my own spirituality, I don't know if I believe in the stuff that I believe in but I like emotionally and physically connect with it and I want to believe, so that's enough for me. And that's where I feel like for
like you don't need to prove it, like you're like that session was helpful.
But I do think that's where we differ a little bit is you're always asking, do you believe it? Like, do you believe it? And I'm not going to say no and I'm not going to say yes.
It's like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Do you believe in manifestation?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is a perfect example of it. And, in my own life, being here now with you and even being in California is a manifestation.
Yeah,
so.
Well, we're always manifesting. Everything's manifestation. Okay, Alex, I'm going to pick up my phone because I want to go to the responses.
How are we doing? Are we doing well?
You're doing great. Okay, good. This is fun.
I just want
love you so much.
I just want it to be more views than my first one.
So it will be because we're on YouTube now.
Yeah. My burner will like it.
Oh my God, except that YouTube, some of those YouTube people are scary. Please don't say negative things. Oh, fine, if you want to, you can, but don't let me read the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we're going to bounce around a little bit because there's some questions about spirituality, but there's some questions about just our relationship.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is funny. Alex, this is from Kristen. Alex, 3+ words that describe Julia when you met her versus 3+ words you would say now.
Oh, geez. You didn't give me this one before.
I didn't give you any of these.
Well, we talked about a few. This is a tough one. 3+ words when we first met. Oh, okay. I'm just going off the dome?
Yeah.
Okay. Booty.
Oh my God.
I know. But I'm just going.
Like day one, you mean?
Yeah. When we first met, glowing, fun, for the first
Okay.
three. For when
Okay,
we first,
booty glowing.
and now, magical.
Oh.
I mean, this is silly, but it means more. But like, woman, like you're like such a powerful woman. Like, that's not a very good one, but
That's fine.
but
That's
there's
great.
more to it. And three, powerful.
I love it. Oh, because and you know what? That powerful is one of my words with Riley.
Oh,
Okay, so
yeah.
what are Martin men? This is what we tell our kids all the time. Martin men,
Tough,
tough,
honest,
honest,
and
and kind. And Martin women are
You guys always change it. That's
well, because I
the
had
men
on
one is printed on our fridge. You guys change yours almost every day.
yeah, ours is tough is not one of them, but powerful is one of them. Kind is one of them. Powerful, kind, and
Wasn't
yeah.
it strong? Or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, you guys need to work on it because
I know. Tough,
Martin
honest,
Men
and kind is good.
THK.
They go right. The
Tough,
boys go like
honest,
this:
kind.
tough, honest, and kind. That's Martin men.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to work on ours. Okay. Another question. Oh, where would you want to live, move, raise our family if it was 100% up to you?
Oh, Pacific Palisades.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I
We've
don't
talked
want to
about
leave.
that
Yeah.
before.
I mean, it'd be tough.
At least for right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is there something that used to annoy you about me that you've grown to admire?
The word annoy, that's such a negative word. There's nothing that's ever annoyed me about you.
Oh.
Really. I mean, really, honestly. I don't really have anything. Honestly.
Please share a lose your shit moment with each other and the kids.
Yeah, like when we like just crazy.
Just when we've lost it.
It's usually at bedtime. I mean, it's
Oh
not
my God. Yeah.
when everyone is screaming, and then we get the boys to bed, and Whit's still screaming,
Oh yeah.
and then Riley's screaming.
We've
and
had a few also lose your S moments in the car where
yes.
it's like
Yeah, when I do
they're all
the old man thing where I pull over
and
yeah.
say we're not going on this trip even though we're a mile away
Yeah.
until everyone changes their behavior and
Yeah.
a lose your S moment on each other.
I mean, I know mine.
What?
Or the one for me, I always go back to this, but the bill we got when we lived
yeah.
together in San Francisco.
I know.
Yeah.
Parking tickets need to be paid.
Okay.
Okay.
But wait a second. You have to. So that's your lose your shit on me. I have to think of one. I know mine.
What?
Is just I'm crazy about time, and it's kind of annoying how crazy I am about time. And so sometimes I lose my shit on you about time because I'm like so psycho about it.
And because I was really late the other day. Or I was like at yoga and then I stayed out and I had a coffee and I forgot I need to get home.
No, it's more like if I'm fine if you're late to something.
But if we are late because of me?
Yes.
I'm not late. You just like to be so early. It's just, I like to be on time.
5 minutes early is on time.
Right, and so is 1 minute early. And so is on time.
On time is not on time. On time's a little late.
Okay, all right. There were a lot of questions about how we keep the romance, excitement, and fire alive in our relationship. And like the spice. And we've kind of touched on this in other episodes, but I was thinking about this one too, and I was kind of thinking about it yesterday. And this is maybe a little controversial, not controversial, but I like to look good for you. Like I really like to look good for you.
Is that controversial?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, should it matter? You know, we're married and stuff, but like, I want you to.
Well, I said booty for the reason I liked you, so I guess that's
no, but I mean, like, part of the like even yesterday we went to yoga together, and I'm like, I know he's probably going to be behind me on his yoga mat, and I'm going to look good in front of him. So I wore my cutest little like flowery thing, and when I was doing those downward dogs, I knew you were checking me out. But I do things like that intentionally sometimes. Like I will like wear certain things that I know that you like
Mm-hmm.
when we go on a date.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will reel back like my masculine not I'm not masculine, but like, you know, the kind of the businessy like side,
Yeah.
and be really more in my feminine. I like, you know, letting you pull out my chair and be kind of softer and like letting you lead certain things, and like reverting into that role for me makes me feel sexier.
Mm.
And I do think, I know that you see it too, and it feels like we're talking about purely like the romance kind of
Yeah,
like
like
physical attraction. I do think not that I'm changing who I am, but I play into that. I lean into that feminine, especially when we go on our dates
Yeah.
and things like that.
Well, I was going to add to that because we allow ourselves time to do that too, and we set aside time every week to do that.
Oh, that's a big one.
And that's really
Thursdays.
helped us. Yeah.
Thursdays.
And
every Thursday, we have been so consistent with that.
yeah.
This has been our longest run.
Oh, for sure.
Every Thursday, we go on a date.
Yeah,
And
just the two. It's not like a double date.
And
it's
we
just
don't
the two
do
of us.
anything crazy. Like sometimes we'll just like get like
go get a foot massage or something.
Quick food and a foot massage. Oftentimes we'll go to the movies. Sometimes we just like go to the beach and have like a little dinner. But it has been every time we leave those dates, we're like, oh, I'm so glad we do this. Yeah. And I think that definitely, usually those dates, we like, that's when the like
feel the most
romance
connected.
And connection feels strongest for sure.
And I honestly think the movies plays a big role into that because we fell in love at the movies in San Francisco, going to Kabuki
it is
Theater.
Romantic.
And we still do that to this day.
We like snuggle up. Yeah. You get me my popcorn and my glass of wine. And then like you're like, do you need anything? Do you need any candy? And then you come and like
and then we inevitably talk about falling in love when we were in San Francisco because that's what we did all the time together. Yeah. We'd do that multiple times a week.
And I feel like we're always like giggling and stuff after the movies. It feels very playful.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, we're not talking about the kids. We're not talking about work.
No. I mean, sometimes we talk about the kids, but it's usually us.
Yeah.
It's usually like our relationship. So I think that's a big piece, is dedicating time for the two of us. And there were a lot of questions actually about how we do it all with the 3 kids and 2 busy careers and all the traveling that we do. And then also, like, do you have a kind of like a shorter way of answering this question? Like how we make it? Because someone was like, can you explain on a daily basis and a weekly basis and a monthly basis how you manage it all? Because I think a lot of people struggle with just getting through the day with all of the moving parts.
Well, there's a person missing from this conversation.
I know.
And when anybody asks about this, we are so lucky that we found a caregiver for our kids that we 100% trust day in and day out. And we leave and don't think twice about it. And
I know. That's a huge part.
She makes it manageable. And we also do a lot, and have to do a lot. But those days that she calls in sick or is gone,
there's a lot more TV.
Well, a lot more TV, but those mornings when we try to figure out the schedule, like our eyes are both pretty wide because we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do all of this.
Like our kids do a lot of activities, and there's a lot of logistics to the day, but our incredible caregiver, Andrea, that we both multiple times a week, we're like, how grateful are we for this woman?
Well, that goes back to the gratitude piece.
She's been with us for a long time, and I'm so, so, so grateful that we have the luxury of being able to have childcare like this. But it's a priority. Like, there's things that we don't do so that we can have her.
Yeah. But also the managing piece is we prioritize doing those things with our family over other things that make it easy. Like cutting things out, whether it be friends or, business things that are not essential, to make sure that we manage that easier.
We just both of us just really like being with the family too.
Yeah.
That we both find a lot of joy in that. Our kids are also like in a really fun stage. Like it's fun to be with them.
Yeah.
But it also, I mean, it's hard. Like there's some days where I'm like, I am so glad that I have a job and
Yeah.
don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't think I could do it. I'd be
Yeah.
really bad at it. I think. I mean, I could do it. I would not.
You wouldn't.
I just wouldn't feel.
Well, here's the thing: you would do it, but then you would also have this podcast and the business still.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I would.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think that that's my purpose. But there's no judgment to stay-at-home moms. I'm massive respect to stay-at-home moms, or dads, like so much. In fact, like that's why I'm sharing this. I just think it's
'cause it'd
such
be
a
so
hard
hard.
job. It's so hard.
Yeah.
And it's also so in a lot of ways like thankless because you're doing so much and yet you don't really get like like I get rewarded all the time for what I do, whether it's praise or opportunities or experiences or things and and so constant validation. Stay-at-home mom, you don't really get that. So I have full respect, and it's also just really hard. It's like, especially with young kids, there's tantrums and complaining and whining and but I think that's also one of the reasons why because we both have our full-time things, when we're with the kids, it's like really fun because we're not with them all day long every day, and so the weekends become really special. But so I think Andrea is a big part of what, like right now in this stage of our life, we need someone to help with the logistics of all the pickups and drop-offs and like the craziness of during the week. But I think another piece is we also really give ourselves individually.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Time, and we've talked about this before, but this is so important. Like Saturday, you're like, my bike ride with my boys. Like, oh, that's another thing I was going to say about the Jessica Rachel thing. She was like, you are a starseed. You vibrate so high. You're going to find your home with other starseeds who also vibrate high. And they might be in your community. You probably already met them and you're like, they're my biking buddies.
Yeah.
They're all starseeds. They have so much energy. They all do their triathlons together.
Yeah.
And they're your people. Like you found your people. By the way, have you ever told them that you're a starseed?
That hasn't come up yet.
Oh, okay. You should. I think it'd be fun. But anyway, we give ourselves space. So you go and you do your bike ride. You'll come back and be like, you go and do yoga. And then I'll do yoga. Then we'll come together. But we've each had individually the thing that raises our vibration.
Yeah, to re-energize.
Centers us, grounds us. And I know for me, it's like going on a run or yoga or getting my nails done or like something or like a facial or something and or just like going out in nature just by myself.
Yeah.
For you, it's biking or run. It's definitely something like outside.
Yeah.
We let ourselves, each of us, do that and we encourage it and then we come together and everything becomes easier. It's like.
But I think that took us some time to figure out that that's what each of us needed to be a better, member of the family. Like when you come back from yoga or when you come back from being outside or something, I know that the energy you're bringing is going to be straight up positive and it's going to be right there present the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Okay. We have a couple minutes left and I do want to get to some of these. Mary said, did you both immediately feel that you were the one for each other?
I mean, that's an easy question.
Yes.
Very easy answer. Yes, definitely.
Yes.
And I'd never felt that before, and I'd never met you before. I was in a new city, and it was truly an energetic connection.
What did we do?
Well, we did this.
We literally met, and an hour later, I saw you, and I'm like, this feels like home. There's no other word, and then I reached across the table. Mind you, there's 5 other people at this table. We all just met each other. I was with one girlfriend. He was with 2 guy friends. And I I just felt so strongly compelled to hold Alex's hand, and he's across the table, and we hold hands across the table. That must have been so weird.
Yeah. Well, and both of us were in semi-relationships at the time, and I told the two guys I was with that I was going to marry you that night, and then both of those guys were in my both those guys were in my wedding.
Oh yeah, that's because one of the guys was into me.
Yeah,
and you said, "Watch out, I'm going to marry her." So
no, I said, "I'm going to marry her. You can be my best man."
Yeah,
that's what I said to her. Yeah. I mean, I manifested the shit out of that.
Oh yeah, you sure did. Okay, last question. There was a when does Alex sleep? That's funny.
I sleep a lot, actually.
Yeah, you do
I go to bed really early.
Last question. We're going to kind of tie this all together with a question that is very relevant to the theme of this podcast and why we're here, which is manifesting, dreaming our lives. We had some questions about manifesting individually, manifesting together, and what our approach is when we both have different goals, or do we always have the same vision? How does that work? Like, do we have the same vision of the life that we want to manifest? And does it ever contradict, like, what you want, what I want?
I think in general we have very similar ideas on what we want to manifest moving forward. I think one piece that has been different in the past that is kind of coming together more for me is the living abroad piece that you've wanted to do since you were a child. So that's something I've brought into my manifestation vision. Mm-hmm. But I think we do a really good job of allowing each other space to manifest individual things that you want, but keeping the core of the overall goal is, for our joint vision for our family.
That's a really good way of saying it. We do. Like, I have my own vision board, so to speak. You have your own. We're doing our own thing. But we do come together quite often to talk about future.
And how they fit in together.
Talk about, like, where we want to go. We every single year, January 1st, we've been doing this for 5+ years. We come together and talk about the vision for the next year. I just looked at our vision board, by the way, with Riley last night. Have you looked at it?
The one
that we did for 2024. It's pretty wild.
Really?
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But we'll do like a joint vision. We'll write down our goals for the family, where we want to go, what we want to experience.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. So we are on the same page with that, with like the family vision. And we talk about retirement and like things like that. Like, we can daydream together. But it's very separate. Like, what I'm manifesting for the business, or for Dream Builders and the other business and my stuff in Hawaii, like, I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
But it's my manifestation. It's my vision. Same with you, with like everything you're doing with sport and your own career. Like, that is you, and you'll bring me in for my ideas and thoughts and to talk about it. But that is your manifestation. That is your vision. I could do a whole episode on this, where it's really important for you to think about what you want, for you to work on your own limiting beliefs, for you to align your own energy, because it's your vision.
Well, I too, the energy that we give each other and the space to go manifest on your own. And I don't, try to get in the way of that for you, and you don't do that for me. And it gives each of us the freedom to really go after what we want, but still be, a strong couple together.
It's a perfect way to end it. I love you so much.
I love you too. This was fun.